down here?
Yeah, well, it's Paradise City. That's what we call this wonderful, charming area. We are at Sun and Fun 2012. We're getting to talk with Dave Piper today. He's the long-term manager, excuse me, chairman of this area. 22 years?
22 years.
22 years of dedicated volunteer. First of all, thanks. That is a many times thankless task, so here's a chance to do it publicly. But you've got a lot of other people. We'll come back to these changes, but let's give some more shout out to your volunteers. You got volunteers doing what kinds of activities here, Dave?
We've got security, administration, air operation,
air ops,
site and facility. That's just the major area. But we've got 186 altogether.
186 volunteers.
And they don't just start today or when the show starts. These guys have been working here for months.
Some of us year round. We take. We got a cadre of people come in early. Dan Moyer in particular, he's the one that does site facility. He's out here laying out months ahead of time.
Months ahead of time. So think about that for a minute. Most of what happens here and the whole rest of this show and at other shows could not possibly happen without volunteers, people just giving freely of their time. You couldn't pay all those people. You don't have a budget to pay them. And
you couldn't pay them enough to get them to do it anyhow.
And if you did try to pay it, you couldn't pay enough. So it has to be volunteer, a labor of love. Well said, Dave. And so to every volunteer here in Paradise City, one of our favorite areas, but the whole thing, congratulations to all of you, and those that aren't volunteers, consider it. And at the very least, go thank a volunteer. For crying out loud. This show would not possibly happen without an army of them.
Well, something we've tried this year that's new and looks to be really popular, we've started our own tram.
You have your own tram?
We've got our own tram.
So how does that work?
Well, they're moving in the parking lot, which made them a lot farther to work. We decided, well, they shouldn't have to walk.
So you're bringing them in from the parking lot, the yellow lot, which is out to our east from here. And you're actually helping them get in here because it is a pretty good walk.
Well, and this started out, now we get different sections because it's such a long walk. We end up taking all the volunteers to all the ones. It's for volunteers only.
I see. Okay, just to help your volunteers get where they need to be. Well, that's a great thing because here's an interesting thing about Sun and Fun. There's what Sun and Fun calls the core area. It's over there in back of the camera as we look at this today. And that area is just packed full of all kinds of exhibitors, and they've got no room to grow, really. Here, there's a delicious amount of area, and it's going to get even better with some changes that are coming. In fact, right behind us now, you maybe can't tell it in the camera, but there's a berm or a hump here, and you may be able to see some fencing and whatnot. That surrounds some equipment that's used for the ILS, the Instrument Landing System, for a runway that's no longer in operation. All the equipment's going away, and then bulldozers, and at some passage of time anyway, are going to come in and smooth out the bump and put it in low places. Some really good things are going to happen here. And so that changes the game a lot, but we've got even more than that coming, don't we?
Yeah, we do. Yeah, we do. We're going to be broken out the mall around over here.
Well, we'll come back to the mall. Let's talk about what's already happened with the runway to make it a more usable thing and what's going to happen. You just got confirmation this week, fresh news, about further changes. What are
the west end of the runway?
The west end, that's down there.
It was already done. That was done last year. It was.
And by done, you mean
a culvert with so it's not a dead end.
There was a pretty ugly ditch there. I don't know if that thing was
the elevation
6, 8, 10 feet deep, but it was pretty deep.
Yeah, about a 14-foot dip.
14 feet. So, and it kind of, now most airplanes never really found any challenge from that. There's plenty of runway here, 1,400 feet of runway, plenty of it. Absolutely. But on takeoff, if you get a little hesitation in your engine, or maybe your skill set isn't quite as good as it ought to be, or on a landing, if your brakes fade, or you made a poor approach path or something, if you ended up in that ditch, it was not a pretty experience. So one end is already fixed.
It's already done.
But what did you hear just this week, Dave?
We're going to get the east end done too.
And who told you that, and why is that impactful?
Well, that came right from the airport, actually.
Right from the airport. Right from this isn't Sun and Fun even having to do this. This is the airport taking care of it.
During the year, this is actually airport property.
Right. This is all part of the airport.
And
they lease it to Sun and Fun for this purpose.
Right. Exactly. Well, they also have some model jets full-time out here.
Right. There's a new little grass area.
They've been talking about doing the east end for us, and what that's going to do. We have a clear zone down there already.
Yeah. Right. There's
It's still got a ditch.
There's not things underneath you all the time. Right. It's open, but that ditch is still there. And on this end, I think it's maybe even deeper, isn't it?
About the same.
Is it? Okay.
About the same, but it's also 40 feet wide.
Yeah, right.
So
Is that what it is? 42.
Yeah.
Okay, so
But
so it's great that they're going to fix that. And you said by next runway.
For safe factor.
Sure, for safety.
They said by all means it will be done by next year.
So there's another
Taking
reason.
trees down too, Dave?
Well, yeah, there used to be trees all the way along the north-south ditch over there, and for a good ways down on the side of the runway. Now they've also
On the south side of the runway.
On the south side,
Yeah.
right. They've also moved the trees that they did leave there back 100 feet. So that helps tremendously.
Really?
too.
Wow. Oh, very interesting. So they really put some money and effort into this thing.
This is now a DOT certified runway.
Is it? Okay, that's another interesting development that's news here at Sun and Fun 2012. But even more than that now, we'll come back to the other thing. We're going to move the LSA Mall over here. It's currently located about off to the right of the camera's view. Not very far away. I can see it from here, actually. But that's going to come right here, almost where we stand now, isn't it?
Yeah, pretty much this whole area right here. I'm looking forward to it too. Really.
I think it's going to change the dynamic, but it's not just that will change the dynamic. The really, really big news, maybe, all those things we just said are great news, but there's one more piece that's really fascinating, and that has to do with the, we'll call it the hours of operation that the runway can continue. Most people know that in the past, when the main air show starts and the aerobatic things happen, everybody's got to sit on the ground and just watch that.
They're willing to extend that for us. They really are. We're gonna work it out with them.
Yeah, it takes some doing, doesn't it?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Well, when the military comes in, we're still going to have to.
Right, with Thunderbirds like that, they want everybody on the
right.
ground. So.
But during the standard air show, they're going to open it up for us. We got a few glitches we need to work out, but I think it's a doable thing, and we're looking forward to that too.
So very cool. Let me repeat again. Flying of the aircraft in this area, including the LSA that will be over here later next year for 2013 show. Where those fellows, the vendors, want to do demo operations. That means take up people who want to check out their airplane, give them a short flight so they can really know. They will be able to do that here even during the main air show.
That's correct.
Given some credentials and some qualifications, of course, because safety always comes first. But otherwise, flying while the aerobatics are going on, people can still do a demo flight.
We're still going to be busy.
Now that is going to be a great separator and going to re-enfranchise this area from the days when we used to have huge crowds here because it was just novel with airplanes buzzing around. That's coming back in a way.
We want all these guys to know that it's available for flying, so they can come out and do the demo flights. Let people see what they got. Let them see what's in the air, because that's what they want to see anyway.
Sure, it's great to go look around at shiny airplanes and cool interiors and all the rest of that, but where the rubber meets the road, in fact, that's not even a good metaphor here, but it's when they go in the air.
Out there, you're 600 feet back here, you'll be right next to the runway.
Right next to it. You can stand right there and watch it happen.
One other thing, I hear a rumor that the chopper guys might be moving here, the gyros?
There's some rumors of that. We're going to see what develops with that. It's a possibility. Might not. It might happen, might not. We'll see.
There's still a lot of planning to be done on this.
Yes, there's that. Again, we're running the safety factors and logistics on arrival procedures. So we'll see what happens.
So we talked earlier about when that knowledge will come to everyone after it gets done by the leaders, people like Dave Piper and the new leader of Sun and Fun, Lights, Leanhouse. Lights is his nickname. And all the other people that are part of this great show here, when they get together and we finally get it decided, the trigger point is when the packets go out for next year's show, meaning the vendor applications to buy space. That goes out in June.
Also, something else with this area here we didn't talk about. We're relaying out the area. What we'd like to do is
yes, I'm glad you brought that up.
Some way that when you come, as soon as you come into the area, you can look down all the roads at one time.
Just make it a little more inviting when you first walk up. You'll see a greater group of all the people that are here.
Right. And
we think there's going to be more and more people here again as this area becomes a fresh new place to be at Sun and Fun.
That's what we're working on.
Great. Dave Piper from the Paradise City area. We all love calling it that because what a great name. It has been known as the Ultralight area. It's now known as the Light Plane area, but Paradise City kind of does the job. We're looking forward to 2013 here at Sun and Fun, where Dave Piper will be leading the show once again.
And you better let him get back to his boss, because I can hear him in the background.
Yeah, you got that.
We love his pump with the sunglasses on. Classic deal. So thanks very much for speaking to us, Dave.
So this is what they're talking about, Dan?
This is what they're talking about as you look upslope here at this massive ditch. I didn't realize it was 14 feet, but it's easy to believe from this angle. But here's what they've done. A brand new concrete culvert, all smoothed out. Now this is not runway here, you understand. This is overrun. And then as we look out this way, you see a lot of clear space, so an airplane that was having a problem of some kind doesn't have to worry about ending up here anymore. They can at least run out into this area and then go solve whatever the problem was later. That's a wonderful thing, and this is similar to what they're going to do on the other end where such a ditch still exists, and this is going to be the result there. That makes this runway a lot more user-friendly, or pilot-friendly.